Hey guys, it's your girl Eda. Aside from being the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast host, I am a legal consultant, author, and advocate for change within the legal industry. Every episode, we dive deep into the tools, strategies, and real world insights you need to succeed, featuring inspiring guests and topics that matter most to the modern legal profession. So, if you find value in these conversations, be sure to subscribe to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast and download our episodes for your commute, coffee break, or brainstorming session. And if you know someone who could benefit, don't forget to send them our way. Referrals are always welcome. Let's create a stronger, more empowered legal industry together. In this episode, we are exploring a powerful yet often misunderstood topic: managing confidence and ego as skills. In the legal world, confidence can make or break your career, but when ego takes the wheel, it can lead to unnecessary setbacks. Let's talk about how to strike the perfect balance and turn these traits into tools for success. Listen in for more. Hey guys, it's your girl Eda, and I'm sure you're wondering why I'm so excited. Well, two things. The topic that we're going to talk about today, which is managing your confidence and ego as skills versus as a personal trait. And I'm getting ready for the holidays, people. Y'all know me. I love my holidays. I'm ready to go back to my home island, Puerto Rico, and enjoy our lovely time with our amazing family and celebrate what I guess here in the States it's called the Epiphany, which I learned this recently. For us, it's called the Reyes. And my family does this huge event every year. And this year it's back home in our island. So I'm super excited about that. But, anyways, let's get to it. As you know, I'm your girl Eda, and this is the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. Totally forgot to do the intro, but here we are. Anyways, today we're going to tackle this topic that every legal professional fights with at some point, right? We are managing our confidence and our ego, but we usually look at these as personal traits, but they're really not. They're not personality traits at all. They're actually skills that we can learn. And that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to focus on breaking this topic down for you into 4 digestible ways to understand the topic, to figure out the why, figure out the how, and then, of course, keeping the momentum because you know I'm all about it. So let's get right to it. The first one is understanding the difference between the confidence and ego. So confidence is rooted in our self-awareness and competence, right? So it's like this like quiet assurance, right? That you have the skill, the knowledge, and the ability to handle a task or a situation. So you know you're good at this, you know you can focus on this skill, but sometimes it's like your ego comes in, right? And then on the other hand, this stems from your insecurity. That's that little voice behind in your head. It's the voice that shouts out the loudest, right? And it seeks that validation and recognition. And it's even sometimes unwarranted because you know this. Now, however, I'm not going to say that confidence and ego are yin and yang, right? You do have to balance them like a yin and a yang, but they're definitely I guess they create a symphony, right? So they do go together. You do need your ego. Ego can be good or bad, negative or positive. So is confidence, and this is really what we're going to break down in this segment, right? So confidence is the empowering portion of it, and then the ego can cloud your judgment and lead to conflict. Both can show up at the workplace, which is why we're talking about it. And managing them determines on your professional relationships and your success in understanding the confidence and the ego versions of yourself, right? Because we have, as we all know, we have unconscious bias, we have traumas, we have griefs, we have all these underlining things. We have different ways of being raised, different environments. Some of us are multilingual, trilingual, whatever, you name it. And all this plays a major part on how you show up as a person and how you show up as a professional. So, keeping this in mind and doing more research outside this podcast is highly recommended. Really learning about what confidence and ego are and how that plays a part in your specific situation will help you and assist you in up leveling this type of skill. All right. So now we're going to move on to how to cultivate the confidence, right? Because we need to cultivate this confidence. This confidence is like crucial, right? We need to master this and we need to focus on these things. So really focusing on how to cultivate the confidence is how do we cultivate confidence without tipping the ego, right? Because the ego is going to come out to play, it's going to come out with a fight. So here are a few strategies that we can do that. We can do that by knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. We all have them. Nobody's perfect, guys. Let's be real with ourselves. Confidence comes from competence again. So take the time to identify those areas where you can excel, where you can need that improvement, right? That's why we're constantly listening to podcasts and reading blogs and going on YouTube University and taking the courses and doing all the things and trying to upskill ourselves any which way we can. This is another one. We need to identify what our strengths are, but what those weaknesses are. So where do you need improvement, and be real with yourself. All right. That's a come to Jesus moment. That's a real talk moment for you. Nobody has to know that. You don't have to announce it to anyone. This is something that you need to search within yourself, right? Now, if you get this can often show up in constructive criticisms when, during this time of the year, at the end of the year, you're probably getting your annual reviews, you're probably getting raises and bonuses and all these things. All these conversations are happening at this point, which is why I'm actually recording this episode to come at such a pivotal moment, right? So, really understanding that sometimes it's constructive criticism, it's not something to bring you down. It's like, oh, really? I didn't know that. And, or, okay, I did know that. Do you have any ways that I can improve that? Do you have any suggestions? Are there any resources that I can go on my own personal time or that you can provide me or that you have access to, any memberships, anything like that? This is the time you want to have that conversation, right? When you're getting these reviews and you're getting this feedback so that the next time around, you don't get the same feedback. Because if you continue to do the same thing, right, it's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that you're going to get different results. And that's just not how love works, guys. So really understand that. Really focus on being that person and understanding that you need to cultivate this, right? And you need to nurture it and you need to be aware of it. Your strengths and you want to know your weaknesses, and then you want to celebrate. You want to celebrate your wins because your reviews are not going to be completely negative or completely positive. You're going to have a little sprinkle of everything. So confidence builds over time. You have to acknowledge that and you have to celebrate your progress. Even what you consider a small victory for somebody else can be huge. So understand that any victory is a victory. So celebrate it, enjoy yourself, provide yourself incentives. If I can make this goal in 30 days. Provide yourself with deadlines. I need to improve this in 30 days, but be realistic about it. Is that something that you can actually accomplish in 30 days, given your current caseload and your current responsibilities? Take everything into account before you start making deadlines for yourself. Understand that you can still celebrate along the way and that it doesn't need to be done in those 30 days, that was just an idea. And then just realize, again, being perfectly aware of the situation, maybe that wasn't so realistic. True to yourself. Real talk, guys. All right. Then you want to practice, practice, practice. Whether it's drafting a motion or presenting a case strategy, the more you practice, the more confident you'll feel. So this may come to a shock to you, but I wasn't always comfortable talking in a recorded version. I was always a very outspoken professional, definitely spoke my mind, definitely sometimes was what a lot of people would say, a very aggressive, very assertive person. which now I've come to find out that that's not a bad thing, but that everything else in life, you need that balance, right? You can still be assertive, you can still speak your truth, you can still use your voice, but you have to do it in a professional, polite, and prompt manner, especially in a professional setting. Don't always come at it with, all guns blazing, because that's not going to work either. Not everybody reacts the same to a situation like that. Not everybody likes to be cornered. And if they feel like they're being attacked, they're just going to be defensive and they're not going to listen to your message. So I had to find that balance within myself, and I wasn't comfortable recording. I didn't like recording, but then I realized that podcasting was a real thing and I loved it and I was making a huge impact. So I just continued doing it. And the more I did it, the more I practiced, the better I got and the more confident I gained in a recorded platform. But hey, look, I'm being real with you because I'm asking you to be real with yourself. So I'm providing you with my personal, I guess, tidbits along the way. And then the fourth portion of how to cultivate the confidence is basically constructive criticism is a gift, guys. You have to make sure that you seek the feedback if you're not getting the feedback. So sometimes you have that proactive supervisor that's going to tell you the good and the bad and what is it, the pretty and the ugly, whatever it is. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're going to be like, okay, well, you scored a 70. No explanation, no nothing. That's it. This is your raise. So speak it if you're not getting it. And then use it to refine those skills and grow, right? Because again, this is constructive criticism, especially if you're asking for it. You want to definitely take notes, ask for resources, ask for help, do all the things that you need to do in order to really, really cultivate this actual environment, right? So we want that. We want criticism, we want feedback, we want it all because that's how the only way we're going to improve and the only way we're going to actually blind our blind spots. Okay. We all have them. We're human. It's okay. All right. All right. So then why? Why are you telling me this? So why these skills matter in the legal industry? Because I'm pretty sure you are wondering. So why does this matter? In the legal field, confidence is essential. Whether you're interacting with attorneys, clients, or the court, people expect you to exude a level of assurance. But here's the catch. Overconfidence or ego can harm your credibility, right? So I'm going to give you an example. When you're using confidence says, I'll double check this case law to assure my accuracy. Okay, but the ego says, I already know the answer. I don't need to verify, but we all know that case law changes. Constantly, laws are changing and upgrading and up leveling. And if we all know what shepherdizing is, you know that it can be trumped at any time. So, or overthrown or overruled or remanded, whatever the case may be, we know that things happen. Although the laws themselves are very slow to move, we know that case law and other things that are day-to-day law, like practices and processes, they change very often, especially administrative orders, case law, local statutes. Those move a lot faster. So we have to understand that really nice balance, right? We always want to double check, triple check, make sure our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed because we don't want to make a mistake. But sometimes our ego gets in that way. So we need to really, really hone in on our confidence and double check. Okay. All right. So the last thing I'm going to share with you, and I hope that this actually sticks with you. Keep your ego in check, which is kind of what I was saying prior, but I'm going to get a little more specific to this. Let's shift the gear to the ego, right? Because I've been focusing a lot on confidence. So, how do you recognize when your ego is taking over the wheel and reel it back in, right? Because I'm telling you that's what you need to do, but now I'm going to tell you how you can actually do it. So I'm going to give you 4 examples because I guess today it's all about 444. So play that number, play the lotto. Anyways, the first one is pause before reacting. Sometimes we don't really take the time to actually think of our response because we are in auto mode, right? We are just rush, 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 get things done, check the checklist, whatever it is, done, right? To-do list, all the things. But we need to. We need to take a pause. We need to make sure that what we're saying is accurate. What we're saying is the best way to say it in our tone is right. Like we need to double check ourselves, right? So if you're feeling defensive or if you're feeling like argumentative, take a step back and assess the situation. Why am I feeling like this way? Why am I triggered? What's going on right now that I feel this way? And that's really that pause moment, right? We don't want to react. 80% or 90%, I believe, 90% of life and choices is based on your reaction. Things can go really, really wrong or really, really right, depending on how you want to react to a situation. You don't want to escalate an already high energy, high aggressive situation. If the client is coming at you all guns blazing, you have to understand that they're in a mindset that you're not in, right? So you don't want to take on their energy. You don't want to escalate it any further unnecessarily at all, right? So what you can do is you can take a pause, put them on hold. If it's on the phone, walk away from the situation by politely excusing yourself. You can even use an excuse of, hey, I need to use the restroom. Give me 1 moment. Whatever it is you need to do, you need to take that pause, whatever that means for you, however you want to do the situation. Okay. That's one. The second one is ask for input. If you're unsure about your decision, consult with a colleague. This shows you value the collaboration over personal pride. We all need help at some point, whether we're overwhelmed, whether our task list outshines our time constraint, whatever it is. Ask for valuable input. Okay. Focus on the goal. Ego often prioritizes being right. Instead, focus on the best outcome for the client or the case, right? We need to focus on what is the best outcome in this conversation, in this case, and for our client. At the end of the day, that's what we're here for, right? That's what legal professionals are here for. We are here to focus on the best outcome for our clients, whatever that is, whether or not we agree with it, whether or not we're having a bad day, whether or not we feel argumentative, whatever it is, check your ego, put it aside, and bring in confidence and know that this is what you do and you're good at it. Last one is stay curious. I feel like when we're children, and I think I reevaluated this concept when I became a mother for the first time and I started seeing my children grow. They're so curious about the world. They ask questions about what we feel is the littlest things. Like the other day, my son, well, not the other day, but he was like probably 2 or 3 years old, and I remember this vividly. He asked me, why is the sky blue? And he didn't ask me, is the sky blue? He asked me why, which I translated as, why do we call it blue? Why are things labeled for us? Like, is there a significance? And he started getting curious. And what I just automatically assumed, something was blue, something was green, something was yellow, all the things that we use to identify items and nature and people, right? We all have these labels on us and we use it, it becomes the norm. So we stop getting curious because we start buying into what society is telling us. So we need to stay curious in order instead of assuming, right? So instead of assuming you know everything and approaching the situation just like dead on, like you're the expert, like you know it all, then why don't we start switching that conversation up and really say, well, that it's just because it's blue. No, I could have said that, but it's not the answer he was seeking, right? He was seeking, why is the sky blue? So I went to Google, I started researching, and I said, I don't know, let's evaluate this together. Let's see where colors came from, how these, what were, and then we started learning about the rainbow and all the other colors. And obviously that went through a rabbit hole. But ultimately, we did our research and we learned together. I didn't assume anything because I don't know everything, and I'm well aware of that, right? I share what I know, I share from experience, I share from failures. My biggest lessons in life were because of my failures, not because everything came out right, which is also a bad thing. When you succeed, you want to see why you succeeded, what happened right versus what happened wrong. Because if we're focusing all the time on what happened wrong, even though we actually had a win, we're doing ourselves a disservice. So if you have a very successful outcome, analyze what went right and treat it with the same mindset as what would go wrong. Focus on how can I improve? That's really what curiosity is about. Staying curious and having the willingness to learn is what's going to keep you proactive. And this is what you try to do. You try to be as proactive as possible in the legal industry because, again, at the end of the day, we're here to serve our communities. We're here to give our communities a voice, but we're also here to give them the best outcome and to assure that their justice is being served in the best way possible. We're not here to just click on tasks and draft motions. Computers can do that. If we wanted to, we can automate almost everything that we do at least 87% capacity. With AI and the new tools actually involved, that was the scare. We were all scared that it was going to replace our jobs. But at the end of the day, a computer has one thing that a human has one thing that a computer will never have, and that is compassion and empathy. Because what's happening is we know our clients way better than a computer will ever be. So at the end of the day, that is a skill you need to hone in. Those are the skills you need to focus on. How can I keep my client calm, listen to them, provide them that time, and use these tools, because that's what they are at the end of the day, to better serve them, because that's what we're here for. We are community leaders. We are here to serve our community, and we are here to provide them with the education that they didn't have, and unfortunately are having to learn because of the situations that we have jobs for. All right? So until justice is served, I'll be here, guys.